All right, today we're going to decode a powerful framework for understanding some of the hidden dynamics that are shaping our world. Everything from our own families to our social media feeds.
You know that feeling, right? That totally draining circular argument where you just end up exhausted, feeling like nobody heard a word you said? Doesn't matter if it's with your partner, a family member, or even a complete stranger online. It's like you're stuck on a hamster wheel and you can't get off.
Well, here's the thing. It turns out you're not just having a simple disagreement. You're actually an unwitting player in a hidden game. A game where the real currency is shame.
And this isn't just any game. It has very specific rules. And the most important rule of all, your attention is what powers it. We are essentially the batteries, just charging up a system that we barely even notice is there.
So how does this whole thing actually work? Well, think of it like this. Your attention provides the supply. Shame is the fuel that gets burned, and our unconscious, impulsive reactions, that's the switch that activates the entire grid.
Let's zoom in on that fuel for a second. The core idea here is that our raw emotional energy is a resource, something to be harvested. It's the very currency that keeps this whole system of control running.
And believe it or not, this energy actually has a name, Lush. Now, what's so crucial to understand is that the system doesn't care if the emotion is positive or negative. Outrage, worship, desire, despair. To the machine, it's all just highly charged energy. It's all fuel.
And this brings us to a really, really important distinction. The difference between a reaction and a response. A reaction is that unconscious, gut-level impulse to defend yourself or attack back. That's the fuel. That's the transaction that feeds the system. But a conscious response, that's different. It's deliberate. It involves taking a breath, a pause. It's choosing not to participate. And that is how you start to reclaim your own energy.
And look, this game isn't some abstract theory. It plays out in very real, very familiar places. We see it in the dynamics of toxic families, in relationships with controlling partners, in those soul-sucking workplaces we've all known. And of course, it's all over social media, in those constant, never-ending outrage cycles.
So, we've been talking about this game like it's some kind of external system, but the real secret to its power is that it comes from a structure that's been installed inside of us through trauma and social conditioning.
Let's call this inner structure the inner narcissist. Now, this isn't a clinical diagnosis, but it's a useful metaphor for that inner dictator that runs on self-criticism. It's that voice of perfectionism, the impulse to be a people pleaser, that nagging feeling of imposter syndrome. This little engine isn't who we really are, but man, it often runs the show.
And this is where you see how the inside mirrors the outside. Because we have this inner critic, we become predictable. External systems, whether it's a manipulative person or a social media algorithm, they know exactly which buttons to push to trigger our shame and get that reaction they want. A single comment can light up the entire grid. In this game, the house always wins, as long as you stay at the table.
So if the whole game is rigged, how in the world do you win? Well, you don't win by playing better or smarter. You win by making one single move that changes everything.
This quote just nails it. We often think that defending ourselves or fighting back is an act of rebellion. But an unconscious reaction is never rebellion. It's the very transaction the system needs to keep going. It's you paying up with your own precious energy.
So yeah, the only winning move is to refuse to play. Real power isn't about having a clever comeback. It's about conscious withdrawal. It's about taking your energy off the game board entirely.
Now, this isn't just some high-level theory. There's a practical, honest-to-goodness toolkit for how to actually do this, an actionable plan for stepping away from the game for good.
Okay, so it starts with just noticing what triggers you, paying attention to those spikes in your nervous system. Then, you learn to recognize and even name that inner critical voice, to separate it from your true self. And here's the crucial step. You stop feeding it. You consciously withdraw your attention from the drama. When you feel that shame creeping in, you pause. That pause is everything. That's where you reclaim your energy and get to choose where it goes. And finally, you use simple tools like breathwork to regulate your system, which makes you a much, much less predictable source of fuel.
What this all comes down to is that the real revolution, it's internal. In a world that is screaming for your reaction, setting a boundary, choosing silence, or consciously withdrawing your energy, those are truly radical acts. The entire game collapses without an audience. You literally starve it of the fuel it needs to survive.
And that leaves us with one final, big question. See, this isn't about escaping reality.
It's about transforming it. By reclaiming your energy, you free up your most valuable resource to build something totally new. So the question is, when you stop fueling the nightmare, what dream will you choose to create?